And I believe we're live. So
I think we are too.
welcome to another episode of Dark Shadow Ghost Tours.
After Tour 2016. And there's...
Mike was supposed to say 2016.
Well, he's not there. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Mike's joining us remotely tonight, so we're going to be flipping back and forth. This is actually the first time we did this. Let me give you a little bit of the background what we're doing here. We are broadcasting live over the internet using Google Hangouts. So we may experience some technical difficulties, a little bit of glitches. Might slow down on you, whatever. Just stick with us, and the show will come back, hopefully, if it goes out on you. So tonight we're talking about romance and the paranormal.
It's Valentine's Day. The Valentine's Day edition.
Okay, plus some of the things related to Valentine's Day. Those of you who are joining us live through our Facebook page, you'll notice down below that there is a chat room that you can ask some questions during the show. And if we answer your questions live, you'll have a chance to win a Dark Shadow Ghost Tours t-shirt. So
send those questions in.
Absolutely. Keep them coming in, and the last part of the show, we'll go ahead and try to answer them online.
And since there might be some people joining us for the first time who don't know us, I'm Marianne.
I'm Sean.
And 2016.
There we go.
Hi, Mike.
Normally Mike's here with us here in the, studio, whatever you want to call it.
He usually sits right here, right behind Glenn.
This is middle of February in Northeast Ohio, so we're doing this remotely because the weather's not real nice outside, and supposedly the technology will let us do it. So, you guys ready to get going?
I think we're ready.
Okay, so here's the first thing that we're going to talk about. We posted on our Facebook page asking if anyone has ever investigated during Valentine's Day. We didn't get any responses, though.
Does that mean that nobody investigates a Valentine's Day?
Either that or people just like to hit the like button and don't leave comments, which is mostly
That
the case.
is me.
Yeah. But, Mike, I think you have a paranormal-related story with romance, don't you?
Really?
Dude.
Mike, I'll come back to you. Look at the notes.
In case you didn't notice, there's a little person behind Mike in the picture, too. That's Lee.
Yeah.
She usually tries to hide off camera. I think she's failed miserably at that today.
We'll go back to Mike. Marianne, do you remember our investigation that we had on Valentine's Day?
I do. Last year we went to Mansfield. We went to the reformatory, and boy, was it cold. Oh my gosh, it was so cold, and it was really snowy last year too. And some of the rooms that we went in, do you remember, they were actually filled with snow.
Yeah.
It was crazy. That was absolutely amazing.
It was really it wasn't an investigation we went on. We just went and took the day tour. But it was the weekend of Valentine's Day.
There weren't that many people there that day because it was so cold and nobody wanted to go. So we were pretty much on our own in some of the areas for quite a while. And of course, we pulled out of our stuff and we had to play.
Absolutely. Had our recorders with us.
That's right. But like I said, it was so cold, and I was just amazed at how much snow was actually inside the building. And I definitely realized that I am a fair-weathered friend.
So I think the shower room and the library, and I think that was it. It was just like covered in snow.
Yes, definitely. Especially some of the little rooms off to the side. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so some of you've been there to Mansfield before. It was really cold too.
Yeah.
So. All right, let's go back to Mike.
Yeah, you want to hear paranormal romance?
Yes.
Of course we do.
This is family, right?
Yes, it is, Mike. So keep that in mind. Family show.
Okay. Well, in the family, that's how family.
Really?
My wife and I were both interested in ghost hunting and investigations. We ended up meeting more investigations. And the little ghost bunks out there and Sean is Railroad and rest of history, we decided we would stay with it, and we're still together, and we've been happily married now for almost 5 whole years.
There you go. There you go. See,
That's awesome.
I told you there was something in your notes.
Oh my. But yeah, so Mike and Lee, a nice.
Yeah, they met on a paranormal
hunt.
investigation.
There we go.
So, what was it? A good investigation? Did you guys find some stuff, or just each other?
I found we were at a haunted campground, and she was the best thing I found that night.
Oh, she's popping up.
She did. Hi, Lee.
Is this true, Lee? Can you can confirm this? All right. All right. So let's move on to our next topic.
All right.
You want to talk about this one a little bit?
No, not really.
Not really.
No.
Okay. Our next topic is romance novels and the paranormal. Now, I don't read.
I don't read that kind
read
of stuff
that
either.
Kind of books.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
Do you read paranormal romance novels?
No.
You just write them, don't you?
We're so good who's got time to read?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, actually, one of the highest-selling subgenres of books is paranormal romance novels.
That's what I hear.
That's
what I hear.
Twilight.
Yes, due to Twilight.
Yeah, the Twilight shows and
Yeah,
and
kind
some
of
of those other ones, the
brought it-
vampire genre and all
Yes.
that stuff like that. So, like I said, I'm not one to read novels. I read more nonfiction type stuff. But why do you guys think that this is a popular topic or popular? I'll start with you.
Of course you will. I really think it has to do with the fact that, everybody wants to have that relationship, so they want the romance. Everybody wants one of those. And then superheroes and everything are so big these days, and vampire shows and walking dead people shows, and it just kind of brings it all together, I think. And all the genres that everybody seems to be into, it just kind of puts them out there together. But I've never been too excited about them myself.
No.
Think about it. You've got good-looking people that hook up and fall in love, and here's your way to remain in love together forever.
Aww.
Not unless your state right.
I didn't comprehend that
What
last
was that last
statement.
one? You're breaking up a little bit.
Well, the only way to kill a vampire is if you don't cook the steak right, and then
Oh.
it happens.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So.
Instead of bad, I think they judge.
Okay.
Oh goodness.
All right, so that's just a topic I wanted to bring up because it is quite popular, and I guess it was a bad topic to bring up because neither one of us actually read those kind of
No,
novels.
I don't. But some
If
of our
you're
viewers
watching
might.
us, yeah, and you do read some of those books like that, leave us a comment and tell us why do you like them? Why are you interested in them? What makes them so popular?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move on to the origins of Valentine's Day.
Ooh. history.
Ooh, yes. Okay. So do you know the origin of Valentine's Day without looking at your notes?
No, I don't. I know it had something, I think, to do with Saint Valentine.
Well, it does, but before that.
Oh, before that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
How about you, Mike? Without looking at your notes.
Oh, please, he hasn't looked at the notes yet.
I would tell me words. Because I would have said that he was just Santa Claus.
Is this what? I didn't hear that.
Santa Claus's helper.
Santa Claus's helper? Cupid? Yeah. No, this actually dates back to Roman or pre-Roman times. Okay? The origins of... They called it... let me find the words. Lupercalia.
Lupercalia, yeah.
Lupercalia, okay? Now, what Lupercalia was a celebration that took place from February 13th to February 15th.
Ooh,
okay?
Valentine's Day was long?
Yeah.
Lots of love and romance?
Okay, so you're getting into this. Wait till you hear the details. Here's what happened. Okay, the men would sacrifice a goat and a dog and then take the hides and go up and down a line of naked women and beat them with the hides. And they thought that this gave them fertility. And then later on, at the end of the celebration, they had a lottery that paired the men and the women together for a night of naked fun.
Yeah, it sounds real romantic.
Yeah, I know.
What's that?
I don't think it was like that.
No?
No.
All right, so that was the origin of it, okay?
Uh-huh.
Now, of course, that was like a pagan tradition, pre-Roman type.
Sounds like it,
All
yeah.
right. So with most holidays and traditions that we have, they originate with pagan traditions and
Most
stuff.
of them do.
Okay, till the Catholic Church comes along. Okay? Now, the
Try to
Catholic
clean
Church...
them up a bit?
Well, the Catholic Church tried to adopt traditions and everything from pagan traditions so they wouldn't lose followers, or they would gain followers, okay? So, can you imagine if somebody just came in and said, you can't celebrate Christmas, put up a Christmas tree, anything like that? You probably follow your own religion and say, I'm not going to go with that. All right, well, they tried to adapt as much pagan traditions as they could, so they adapted that holiday. However, in the year 278 AD...
278 AD?
AD, okay?
It's a long time.
This is where St. Valentine comes into play. Mm-hmm. Okay? Do you know who St. Valentine was?
Do I know?
No. You don't know. Okay.
It was a saint.
So, there's this guy called Emperor Claudius II. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he wanted his soldiers to focus on fighting. Family was not a value. It was just fighting. So, he banned any... dating, weddings, anything like that. He banned that. You weren't allowed to get married. Okay? Well, St. Valentine's like, this is stupid. So he would marry young couples in secret.
Ooh.
Okay? So then this Claudius the Cruel is what they called him. When he found out about this, he had St. Valentine. He wasn't saint at the same time, but he had Valentine arrested. Okay?
Makes sense.
And eventually beheaded over it.
They did a lot of that back then.
However, when he was in jail, St. Valentine, he left a note to the daughter of the prison master, warden, or that we would consider a warden today, and it said, legend also has it that while in jail, St. Valentine left a farewell note to the jailer's daughter who had become his friend and signed it, "From your Valentine."
Aww,
So that's
where we got our
that's where we got the Valentines from. Okay?
Mike likes my flying Valentine heart.
Yep.
So, Mike, let me ask you a question. Do you think we do the Valentine's Day holiday justice?
Yes. Absolutely.
Even though we don't run around and beat people with hides of goats and dogs.
If I have I
What about you, dear?
Well, I'm glad that we don't quite go all the way back to those pagan traditions for Valentine's Day anymore. But I do think that we do pretty much do a lot of justice to Saint Valentine for his Valentines back in the day. I mean, I think Hallmark would agree. And the candy companies and everything. I mean, we're always giving our Valentines some little note of love and things like that for Valentine's Day this time of year.
Well, a lot of people say that Valentine's Day and stuff like that was made up by Hallmark. That sell cards.
A lot of
like
people
that,
did. A lot of people did. But I at least knew of St. Valentine.
Yeah, there is some origins of it.
But I didn't know about that whole beating with hides thing.
Yeah. Kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah, I'm just glad we're not doing that one anymore. I can't imagine being lined up and getting beaten and then somebody said, okay, you go with that one today. That's just...
Yeah, but good ball. I got a guy has a smorgasbord to choose from.
A smorgasbord to choose from?
Absolutely. I made that today. They went for the weekend.
All right, so we are having some technical trouble. You keep breaking in and out there, Mike. Is there any way that you can bring that mic up closer, maybe?
How about that?
It is, but when you do that, I only see your forehead.
How about that?
That's
I
a
like
little
that.
better.
That's better.
How about those in the chat room? Can you guys hear Mike right now? Mike, go ahead and sing something.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Daddy boy.
Sounds like he's practicing. Now remember, they're going to be about 2 minutes behind you in the chat room, so...
Yeah, we're a little bit behind. Actually, according to our show notes here, we're actually a little bit ahead, so... he has a little bit of echo, somebody's saying. But you can hear him?
That's good news. We can at least hear him.
Yes, but an echo.
Wow. All right. Oh, great.
Great voice.
Great voice is what the chat room is saying you have there, sir.
Oh, yeah. I love
All right.
Okay, so let's keep moving on here. We were going to take a break, but
your little romance story thing
Yeah,
didn't quite go very well.
my romance novel didn't take as long as I think it would.
No, we weren't into the romance novels.
You haven't seen Twilight, have you?
I have not. I saw about maybe 5 minutes of it, the section when they were in school and they were looking under the microscope and they were seeing the slides of mitosis.
Yeah.
And I was real excited by that.
You were excited about
and
the
then,
science
like,
part.
the rest of it, I just went and fell asleep. So,
How about you, Mike? Have you seen the Twilight series?
buddy. Anybody that follows Paranormal knows. Real don't look like that.
Okay, so what we're saying is we should probably have a pre-production meeting before we go online. That subject shouldn't even have been in the notes.
well, to be honest, normally we have those pre-productions
That's
when we're
right.
all sitting right around the table right before we go on.
That's right.
And we didn't have that today since Mike is away in his own home today. We probably would have cut it out then.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. Okay, Mike, we're going to you, so we hope the audio stays in. We're gonna talk about the incubus and succubus.
Oh, gosh. Incubus, succubus. No, they're both considered demons, and in some circles, all the incubus is a male spirit that or a male demon that is looking to have sexual relations with women. And a succubus is a female version. They are both very nasty. And, you know, I guess the best way to put it is, if you are a religious person, you don't have to worry too much about them attaching themselves to you. But if you're a person that dabbles in a lot of fantasy and, you know, just not the right language, it's very easy for one of those two types of demons to attach themselves. You have any questions about that so far?
Nope, I think that sounds pretty good so far. What else do you got?
Well, you know, there's been tales dating back, you know, 1,000 years, where women always feel like they're being taken advantage of, and they felt the head weight of a man upon them out of the way while they're in bed. And, you know, there's, for people that believe it's mythology and that it's not really pertaining to demons, you know, the Bible itself speaks of the time the fallen angels go around the earth and have some women, mortal women. So there's a religious precedent for it, and naturally, you know, the women really violating from it, and the men on the opposite side, you know, they have to deal with feelings from the succubus. They're both things that can be removed through prayer and exorcism, but you know, they're you know, in the religious circle, you know, they're both factual things, they're both demons.
So I've heard that they could possibly be the same demon at the same time. Anything on that?
You know, they're both, you know, a succubus will always attach itself, you know, to a male, and incubus will always attach itself to a female. Although at times, you know, it's quite possible you have multiple, you know, which is entirely possible. You know, a female might have two incubuses, it's definitely nothing to be played with, you know, and it's something that, you know, in our society, you know, we look at these types of stories and think, well, these people are just students, or this or that, and, you know, it's genuinely a problem. Incubus and succubus are actually terms that psychiatrists actually call for people who think that they're suffering from these types of sexual assault.
Okay. I had at some point read something somewhere that some people back in the days finally came along at some point and said, hey, you know, they might transform from an incubus into a succubus or vice versa, but mainly that the succubus would go in and they would have relations, remove the sperm from the males, and then they would transform
You're
into...
a biology teacher. Why is that funny? Sperm.
I didn't think it was funny about that. I was thinking, you know, it was funny that, you know, they would come and try to take your sperm.
Oh.
But
okay.
anyway, they would take the sperm of the males, and then they would go and they would then turn into the incubus and go and give that sperm to their female victims, as one would say, and finish the deal as the opposite. So they would actually have multiple partners of the opposite sex, and they would keep switching places.
That's kind of creepy.
You know, I have that there's different things. Even though when the succubus and after chatter of male host increases and deposits directly to the female. But until I guess I really come into contact with real,
And somehow I feel he's quite ready to have.
Yeah. I think one thing that you mentioned though earlier, and it's worded a little bit different in the notes here, without the word sexual activity though, but this kind of tends to, like our last show where we were talking about the Ouija boards and stuff like that. Let me read this. It says, these demons tend to target persons who have a loose mind, prone to fantasize, lack self-discipline, and then who indulge in excessive sexual activity or through occult practices.
Yep.
So last time we were talking about the Ouija board with people who didn't know what they were doing, and just say, hey, this is cool, let's go and play with this type thing. So I think this kind of, those demons lend themselves to that type of personality as well.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Bad thing, whenever you open up that doorway and invite a demon into your home, whether legally or unknown, you'll up with this kind of attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there's you have a little bit more scientific explanation about this?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Your brain does a lot of things. And while you are sleeping, your brain is actually really working on overdrive. And it has several stages to sleep and different things that happen in different stages. And of course, we all know that while you're asleep, your body repairs itself and all that kind of stuff. But in one of the stages, a fourth stage, it's called the REM cycle. During that, rapid eye movement is really what it stands for. I don't think it says that anywhere, even in Mike's notes that we sent him. But REM stands for rapid eye movement. And you see during tests, if they're doing it, you see during the stage, that's how they know they're in the REM cycle, is their eyes really asleep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so during this stage, your body actually your brain shuts down your body and sort of paralyzes your body. It does that so that you don't act out the dreams that you're having. And there's some people who it doesn't quite work so well for. If it if it doesn't work well, it's gonna have one of two problems. Either it's going to not paralyze your body enough, and you actually get up and you sleepwalk and you go out and do things like that. That's not him. Which a lot of people do have sleepwalking issues. Sometimes as a youngster, they'll be more apt to that, but there are adults who have it too. And then the opposite of that is where it works a little bit too much, a little bit more in overdrive. And a lot of people will wake up, but they are still paralyzed. That paralyzation hasn't been turned off yet. And so they sort of wake up and they look around and they can move their eyes, but they really can't move the rest of them. They feel like a lead blanket is being placed on them. And it's really hard to get your body to move. Now that's him. He talks about that all the time. Yeah. But it's when people have that issue that they really think this is where people think they're being attacked by a demon or an incubus or succubus, because of the fact that they have this feeling that something is pressing down on them. And of course, that's the feeling that someone is lying on them.
To sleep paralysis theory, too.
Yes, exactly. And in addition to
Mike,
that...
I don't know about the sexual part, though. What do you think?
Oh, I have some on that.
Oh, she's got more.
I do. So that's just like
Never mind.
the physical parts. There's a sexual part too. And this part I'm going to read because I'm not actually real familiar with this part. There is, during the REM sleep, it causes erection in men and lubrication in women. And awaking from a frightening experience and subconsciously recognizing an erotic bodily feeling lends itself to seeing the connection between the experience and the hardworking, dark, and evil forces. So during the REM cycle, you actually do get natural sexual arousal. And so if you're woken up during that and you have the sleep paralysis on top of that, that's where people tend to think then that they were being attacked by an incubus or succubus. And really, it's just a normal metabolic thing that your body goes through. But are there really demons and ghosts doing this to them? I don't know.
Let me just say that you hear things about people feeling ghosts in their house or touching them, coughing people, and that's a term. But when it comes to actual sex, that's not
It's not Casper?
No, it's it's more along the demonic, because that's another meaning of control, taking over your life, because they're actually, there's a lot of theories out there, not only having sex, but they're draining energy as well, and their goal is to go over and destroy you. So people don't want to get the idea that a ghost and a demon are the same thing.
Yeah, and really they used to all the time back in the day, they used to, before they really understood how reproduction really worked, they actually thought that the male sperm was actually the egg and that there were little tiny babies inside there. And then they actually took that and inserted it in the female, and that's how it grew. But they actually have like picture diagrams, old diagrams that the scientists used to draw, and some of them were a little sperm with a little person inside, and that's how they thought it actually worked way back when.
Really?
Yes. So stealing the life seed would have been something they would have believed in.
Interesting.
Yeah. You're just flipping back and forth, aren't you?
I thought Mike was going to say something. I flipped back to Mike there.
Oh, I was going to say that, they weren't really sure about a whole lot of things back then. It wasn't like the technology and science available. And I'm sure we're really controlled by the church. Catholic church out there, between the Catholics and the Muslim faith, they control everything. So people only believe they were told.
So there's another theory about this too, and we've touched upon this in the past. But let me ask your thoughts on this, Mike. The incubus and the succubus, we know is a demonic spirit, okay? But we've also talked about spirits who are not necessarily demonic, but they're not nice people, okay? So what if you have a spirit who was a little handsy, so to speak?
Right.
Is it possible, too, that these spirits could be doing these nasty things while people are sleeping? What do you think about that?
I don't think they're having sex. I don't think they're up well. I think he's off the people he's lending time, you know, he might be touch and feely, but I don't think that he goes as far as sexual.
Okay.
Okay.
There are some Buddhists who disagree. They actually, in the Buddhist religion, actually have a name for this, and it's called the hungry ghosts.
Yes.
The hungry ghosts.
Yes.
And they think that they were just so promiscuous that hey they were almost addicted to it, like people are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and that they would just continue to do this even in their afterlife.
Well, they could. There's a lot of different religions out there. There's a lot of different beliefs. You know, people have been going around trying to make this stuff wrong for a long time.
You mean that we can't like figure it out tonight?
Oh, sure.
We're not going to solve it.
I know.
Oh,
All right,
goodness.
so we are looking at roughly 20 to 8. So we are broadcasting live, folks, here. So at this point, we're going to try to take a little break. And hopefully when we come back, everything's still working again. So give us probably about 5 minutes. If you have questions of anything that we've talked about so far, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and the related, there's some paranormal claims that's related to that too. But we've already talked about the incubus, the succubus, the, what else we talk about?
Those romance novels.
Romance novels, yeah. The origination of Valentine's Day, just anything else related to paranormal and Valentine's Day. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat room. And when we come back and after we're done talking about the paranormal stuff, if we answer your question on the air, you'll get a Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour t-shirt. So we'll be back probably in about 4 or 5 minutes.
All right.
So hang in there and we'll be right back. Okay, bud, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. All right, well, welcome back to Dark Shadow Ghost Tours.
After Tour 2016.
He's supposed to say that.
Sorry. Go ahead and tell them what's on my little heart.
I don't see.
You don't see us?
No. I just see a round circle, and it's like a stereo.
Aww.
Lisa said it was just me.
Oh, it's just you?
Yeah, does Lee see us?
She can see on her.
All right, maybe it'll come back here in a second.
Well, this is our Valentine's Day edition.
2016.
There you go.
There we go. All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is something that actually did take place on Valentine's Day. This was...
Can I have...
What's that?
Can
What's
I
that?
have...
Sure.
Okay. I would like to say, just to finish up about symptoms with incubus and succubus is, you know, if you go online and there are so many pages and so many things about this, so many websites, there are even websites out there that explain how to conjure up an incubus and succubus and have research
Is that what you're going to do later?
about letting people break. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I just want to make sure people understand that that's not a good thing to do. Stay away from that.
All right. Little
Okay.
public service
So,
announcement there.
Yeah, in case you didn't hear Mike on that last one, I'll just repeat what he said. He said there's a lot of websites out there on the internet that will tell you more about the incubus and the succubus, but that also goes on to tell you how you can conjure them up. And he's saying
Don't.
you don't want to do that. You want to stay away from that. And I tell you what, if anybody you need to listen to about that, and that's Mike, because he's done a lot of research in this. He's a demonologist. He knows what he's talking about. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. And if you think that's something that you need to do and need to talk with somebody or whatever, please get a hold of us or Divine Paranormal or one of our groups. We didn't put up our ads over the break, but they're very simple. PanicD.com is PanicD.com. Dark Shadow Ghost Tours is DarkShadowGhostTours.com. Divine Paranormal is DivineParanormal.com. So if you need some help or whatever, get a hold of us and somebody will be in touch to talk with you.
All right.
All right? Normally we put up the websites, but we're doing this new technical thing, and I didn't want to lose connection with Mike there, so we didn't put up the commercials.
We didn't want to lose you,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
You are.
So anyways, let's move on to St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Okay? It's a little bit of history lesson, and then we're going to talk about some paranormal activity associated with this, which is we're going to call out some names here that you may have heard of before. It's quite an interesting story. So this basically goes back to the time of Prohibition, and this was in Chicago, Illinois. It was Valentine's Day 1929 was when this took place. There were a lot of different gangs and mob bosses or whatever in Chicago. Now, it's funny us talking about this coming from Youngstown. But, in Chicago in 1929, this is where the mafia or mob bosses or whatever, it was big time there. This event happened at the SMC, is that Carriage Company?
It said
I think it's
Carthage Company,
Carriage
but I think
Company.
it's Carriage as well.
Shipping, packing, long-distance hauling. Basically, this was a front for the mob to run
Whiskey.
moonshine out of Canada, I believe. So on the morning of February 14th at approximately 10:30 a.m., a group of George Bugs Moran, his men, gathered at the Clark Street garage for a special hijacked delivery of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to take it from there? What happened next? First of all, have you heard about this before, Mike?
I don't think.
You haven't heard of the Valentine's Day Massacre? That's amazing.
Yes, I have heard.
Okay.
Oh, you're just pulling my leg.
He was going along with the show.
Oh, okay.
He's making the show sound good. No, tell me.
Tell me more.
Yes.
All right, Marianne, go ahead, take it from there.
All right. On this date, there were actually a large number of Bugs Moran's group that was killed. They do still battle back and forth over whether or not it was actually Bugs Moran who ordered the hit on his own men, or if it was Al Capone trying to get back at the Bugs Moran group for some things that had been done to them. Police really looked at Al Capone, but they never really did pin it on him.
Let me stop you right there. We're going to try something because we have time.
Okay.
Okay? Now, normally when we're researching a paranormal issue, what do? We try to investigate and put together things that could be causing paranormal activity, right?
Yes.
So as you tell this story, let's do that at the same time.
Oh, so you're
So
going to point
first-
some things out.
First, we have guys that's meeting in a garage, getting ready to do something illegal. So there's probably some excitement going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And there's some theories behind some wrongdoing. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so keep going.
And of course, unexpected demise.
Well, you didn't get that far yet. Well, go ahead. Or did you?
I said a bunch of Moran's guys got killed, so
Oh,
I guess
okay.
I did.
Okay.
Here's the guys who
Unexpected death.
The
So-
guys who actually were killed were Johnny May. He was a former safe cracker who got hired by Moran as an auto mechanic. Crazy, right? You hire a safe cracker as your auto mechanic.
Oh, you got skills with your hands. I
think
guess.
he probably still kept him on for safe cracking skills too.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was there working on his truck, and he had his German Shepherd dog there. It was named Highball. Kind of interesting name for a dog, one, and two, for a dog in the Prohibition. But
Highball.
yeah, Highball. Who they ended up having been... Highball was the only survivor in that building that day.
There was two.
Well, Highball actually lived for more than an hour.
Okay.
But anyway, there were others as well. There was Frank Gusenberg and also Pete Gusenberg, and they were supposed to meet Moran and pick up 2 empty trucks and drive to Detroit to pick up smuggled Canadian whiskey. And then James Clark, he was Moran's brother-in-law, and he was there. There was Adam Hayer and Al Weinshank, who I don't know exactly what their job was, but they were probably just helpers. And then
Hired helpers.
hired helpers, yeah. And then one poor soul who I feel really bad about this guy because
Yeah.
he really didn't belong to the gang at all. He just kind of was a wannabe. He was Reinhard Schweimer, and he was an optometrist. And he befriended Moran, and he just hung around the liquor warehouse for the thrill of rubbing shoulders with George Bugs Moran and the other gangsters. Anyway, all of them did die that day. Now, of course, as Sean alluded to, one of them actually did live for a short time. That one was Frank Gusenberg. But Moran was late.
Yes.
And so he didn't die.
Yes.
Theory was that they were actually trying to hit him and his men, but definitely him. And he ends up living because he was late. He didn't get there till a little bit later. He noticed that there had been a police car that was sort of showing up outside when he got there, and so he just kept right on going and went down the corner, had a coffee. Turns out that was probably a very wise decision on his part. So he thought the place
was being raided.
He thought it was being raided, and it was a little shakedown.
Well, according to him.
And he didn't want to be involved. And that's one of the reasons why they think that maybe he did have something to do with it, is he conveniently was late and didn't go and had coffee. But there was a police car involved. It was supposedly a stolen police car, and they had 5 people in it, 2 of which were dressed up as policemen. And the theory is that they stole the police car, had a couple guys dressed up as police, and the other guys were sort of decoys, that they were going in there, they were shooting them up, killing everybody. When they would come out, they had others with them that they allegedly were arresting for some smuggling operation. And so that's why they kind of set it up that way. At least that's allegedly what happened. Yeah. In any case, they did go in. They shot up everybody with Machine Gun Tommy, and just kind of lined them all up against the wall in the back of the building and shot them all to death. And then they left, leaving the dog alive. So Highball's still alive. He's barking. And they think everybody else is dead. And the dog just incessantly barking. And I'm sure some of you have had neighbors who have had a dog out a little too long. The dog wants in, and you hear it barking and barking. Well, that's exactly what happened, and how they actually found that all these guys had been murdered. Turns out that the landlady next door, Miss Landesman, she was annoyed by this dog barking, and so she sent one of her tenants over, Mr. McAllister, and he went in, saw what had happened. He came out, he called to her and said to call the police, and he said the garage, it was full of dead men. And
nice.
Yeah, he was coming out screaming that. And turns out that they lined them all up against the rear wall and they shot them all, but Frank Gusenberg didn't die immediately, and he actually was able to crawl away partially. He got to the middle of the garage and he laid there dying. And when the real police were called, he ended up being transferred to the hospital, and the police, who were actually growing up on the same street as Mr. Gusenberg, he leans into him and he says, who shot you? And he says, no one shot me. And those were his last words. So he wouldn't even on his deathbed tell who it was that actually did the shooting, which could have helped to determine whether it was Bugs Moran who sent somebody in, or whether it was Al Capone.
Right.
So I find that quite interesting that he wouldn't even rat him out. Kind of the thing of the day. You just didn't rat on each other.
No.
Not to the police.
No. So
took care of your own business.
That's a crazy thing that happened on Valentine's Day.
Yes, it was. If you go with the Al Capone version of the story, being he's the one who's going to kill him, or set out the hit. Within the year before that, he said that by Valentine's Day, Moran would be dead, that he would kill him. And he was supposed to be there. He was just a little bit late. And so he wanted a special Valentine to be given to Moran.
Nice.
That Valentine's Day.
Nice.
So was that Valentine that he was going to die, or was that Valentine that all his guys were going to be dead? I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
I'll tell you what, it's a heck of a story. I can only imagine what the paranormal activity would be inside that garage.
And it turns out there is some.
Well, they say that, being that they died tragically and quickly like that, their spirits could be trapped there. And in addition, when they passed, if they did see the light, they might have made a judgment and decide not to go to it anyway. So either way, they might still be there today.
Oh, it gets better.
Oh. Great, tell me.
It does.
All right.
This story gets way better.
So, as you know, should I do the local, the area, or because he brought it up, or should I go on what I was going to do?
Do the local area.
Do the
because the
local-
building doesn't exist
The
anymore.
building
but
was
the,
actually
of course,
knocked
the
down.
land is still there.
Yeah, the
Okay.
building was actually knocked down in 1967, but there are reports of paranormal activity on the land. There are people who walk by at night and during the day too, but a lot at night, and they hear the sounds of machine guns going off, and also of people screaming cries, help, or their dogs don't like that land. It's a little plot of land in the middle of the city, and people their dogs don't like it
How
at
do
all.
they describe it? It's a plot of land with 5 trees.
5 trees. There's 5
on it
trees.
For the 5. Was it for the 5 who died?
There were actually 7 who died.
7 who died.
So I don't know why they
know.
chose
There's
5
5
trees,
trees.
but there are 5 trees. A little bit more research that we'll have to do on why there was 5. But the one in the middle, the tree in the middle, is supposedly where the actual wall is that they were shot at. But dogs apparently don't like this at all. Their pets, if they're going for a walk there, they're either going to really bark and howl at the area, or they become so frightened that they just whine and cry and fear and want to get away. So dogs don't like it.
So definitely the land and the area has
Soaked with that
reports.
blood, yes.
But what about the building next to it?
The
This is where
building
it
next
starts
door.
to get interesting.
The building next door is actually a senior housing facility, and there have been apparitions of 20s mob type figures that have been seen in their rooms.
No way.
Yes, way. Yeah, it turns out that the co-owner of Weird Chicago, the ghost tour company there, he's done some research into this. He's talked to some of these people, and he says that one woman had a phantom gangster in her room, and she was so bothered by it that they actually moved her out of her room and gave her a new room because she was so upset by these gangsters that had been randomly coming in and out of her room all the time. And there was another gentleman who came in, and he saw the exact same thing. And basically, it's a gangster in a fedora hat and a double-breasted pinstripe suit. And he kind of likes to hang out there.
Okay, but let's talk about this a second too. Okay, the theory of paranormal occurrences that are there's 2 different types. There's the residual. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. Residual. Okay, so here's a theory I'm going to throw out there. What if that was a lookout that they're seeing? A guy that was in that building watching that area to notify him, hey, they're all in here. It's time to get down here. No.
That could be.
Because there's a lot of reports of residual haunting. The one that sticks in my head is the one at Ford's Theater with Mary Lincoln, standing up yelling, they shot the president, they shot the president. It just occurs a lot. So what if that person that these people, at the senior center are seeing is a residual haunting of a lookout?
I like it, especially since the theory is that they were waiting for Bugs Moran to come, and when he was there, that's when they were supposed to go in. And there was another guy who fit the build of Bugs Moran, and when he got there, it was after that they went in. So this might have been the lookout that said, yeah, he's there.
Could be.
Yep, could be.
Could be.
Wow, that's a good one.
Oh, but it gets better.
It does?
There's even more to this.
Oh, well, basically they just continually hear these submachine guns going off. They can hear it in their facility. They can hear it outside, and there's just nothing there. But,
There's
That
more.
sounds
for the location or
For the
the
location,
other items?
no. But there's other items
Oh, yes,
related
for
to
other
this.
items, yes, there are other things.
Keep going, because
So-
it gets better.
Whoa.
All right, so let's talk about the building bricks. So I'm going to just lift this up a bit. This is not a brick from this building. This one's actually from the Stagecoach Inn. But the bricks, are the bricks haunted? The ones that were, shot up, the wall that they were lined up in front of. Are the bricks actually haunted? So the bricks of that wall actually have quite a history of their own. In fact, in 1949, the front portion of that building was turned into a furniture shop. And there was a guy who actually used to stay in the back. He had his bed right there next to the wall. He said nothing happened to him. But the couple that, sleep right there, right where they were all murdered.
Now, you got these are bricks, so
yes.
They're riddled with bullets and blood, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyhow,
I'll just put my bed right here.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Why not? Well, they whitewashed it, so they painted over it.
They fill in the bullet holes?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Turns out that the furniture business did not do real well there. In fact,
shocker.
People would come there mainly just to go and see the area where this big massacre happened. They didn't actually come to buy furniture, and that was the biggest downfall of the furniture shop, was they really didn't have a lot of sales. They had a lot of lookers.
Yes.
They wanted to come and visit. They just wanted to check things out. And some of those people, it turns out, were so interested in having a memento that they actually begged and pleaded with the owners to take a brick. So they actually carved the bricks out of the wall. And a lot of them were the bullet-ridden ones, but not all of them were taken that way. But they did pay the furniture people for these bricks. Well, once that building was not doing so well as far as the furniture shop, it closes,
or
they
the
tear it
foundation
down.
because all the bricks missing.
Well, so in 1967, they did demolish that building, and the wall that they were all lined up against, it was actually taken down brick by brick, numbered, and sold to a guy in Canada named George Patty. And in 1972, after kind of holding on to these bricks and taking them supposedly from exhibition to exhibition, he ends up building a 1920s style nightclub. And he calls it the Banjo Palace. And basically, he takes all those bricks and he reassembles them in numbered order in the men's room. And he puts plexiglass over them and has little spots for where the bullet holes were for them to aim at. So the guys got to aim at the bullet holes on the wall to pee. So they used to urinate on the plexiglass covering the bricks.
Oh God!
Now how that in itself is just not nice either, right? No. So now we're desecrating the wall. Anyway, but it was in the men's room, so only the guys were able to go in there and play. Well, women were sneaking in there to check it out because they liked the macabre too. So he ends up letting them go in 3 nights a week.
Did you say macabre?
I did.
Instead of macabre?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Nobody else noticed. Anyway, he goes and he lets the women start going in there 3 days a week just to check it out. I don't know how much he charged. He had to have charged him something. But anyway, when they actually close this building down, he decides he's taking his bricks with him. So when his nightclub closes, he takes the bricks, he puts them in storage, and then he tries to sell them. And so he starts selling them off one by one. He wanted to sell the whole wall, the whole brick wall to someone, but he had a starting bid of $200,000 and people didn't really want to pay that much. So he decided, well, I'll sell them brick by brick.
For how much?
$1,000 a brick.
$1,000
$1,000 a brick. He sells 70 of them approximately.
Wow.
I bet they're good.
Well, they were behind plexiglass.
So what'd you say?
That they smell good. In any case, he sells these bricks, and one theory that I've heard is that the bricks started being returned. And they started being returned because people started having bad luck. They would lose all their money. They would get really sick. People who owned them were just starting to die.
So people paid $1,000, but they just sent it back and said, keep it.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want it anymore.
Interesting.
Yes. But there's other people who say, nah, that's not really quite so true. I own 2 of them. Not me. That's the guy who said this. He's like, I own 2 of them. I sleep in the room that they're in. No problems. And, you know, and the only reason I'm losing money is because I'm buying them. Anyway.
Did you look those up on eBay?
I did not look those up on eBay because they are no longer available. They actually were on eBay after he died. After the actual owner died. He left them, the remaining bricks, to his niece, who ended up trying to sell them on eBay. She sold a couple of them. But they ended up, all the remaining ones were sold for $300,000. $100,000 more than he originally wanted, by the way, and for less bricks, to the Las Vegas Mob Museum. And today, if you want to see those bricks, you can just go there, and it is all reassembled again, and you can see all of the bricks that still remain. Of course, there are bricks that are missing, because, of course, people were taking them, obviously, when the furniture store owners were there. And then, of course, when he sold some of them. So there are bricks that are missing, and they've actually put fake ones in there. Well, real bricks, but replica spots. And they are a different color brick, so you'll be able to tell the difference.
So
it's a Las Vegas Mob Museum.
We need to look that location up and see if
We
there's
sure
any
do.
paranormal activity there.
I had no desire to ever go to Las Vegas, but maybe we'll have to go now. Go see
Road
the
trip.
mob. Go see the mob bricks. Do a little EVP session in front of the bricks. Check it out. See what's going on. I don't know. What do you think? You up for a road trip?
Yeah, no aim at the
I do have another day off. So that's the bricks. What do you think about the bricks?
I'll tell you what, that's pretty cool.
They have a life of their own.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, you just don't think the negative energy they could be storing up.
Yeah, because they had the murders, then they got people peeing on them.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just seems wrong that he set it up that way, that they could pee on the bricks.
But wait, there's more.
There is. Just
There's
like
more
on
to the
TV.
story.
Yes. Not about the bricks.
Not about the bricks,
or
but
the
relates to
land.
the story.
However, it does involve another ghost of one of the gentlemen who was murdered that day. James Clark, the brother-in-law of Bugs Moran. Turns out that he went on to apparently haunt Al Capone. So some of you may have heard that Al Capone went to prison. Did you hear that he went to prison?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Okay, you can go back to the chat room now. So he went to prison. He ended up going to Eastern State Penitentiary for a short stint, at which time they gave him this nice special, all nice, beautiful cell, and they let him pretty much have anything he wanted. Anyhow, he started to have visits from a ghost that he constantly begged to leave him alone. And it turns out that his other, not cellmates because they weren't in the same cell, but what do you call them? The rest of the prisoners, the other prisoners in the building, would hear him at night screaming in his cell, begging Jimmy to go away and leave him alone.
And what was some of the names of the people killed?
James Clark. Yes. So the theory is that James Clark started to haunt him. After he gets released, it continues.
Now this was at Eastern State.
That was at Eastern State.
We saw his cell.
We
Got
did.
pictures of.
We did. But it definitely shows that it wasn't a ghost named Jimmy that was hanging out in Eastern State.
No.
Because
Now, if you haven't been to
continues
Eastern
go.
State before, let me paint the picture, okay? Eastern State Penitentiary was built for solitude.
Solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement. Each cell, it was only one person, and it was built to be like a bunker. Like you didn't even know anybody else was in the prison when you were there.
You never saw them, ever.
And actually, you never went to general population to eat or anything like that. And there's a doorway that went out the back of the cell into the area where you did your exercise alone.
Yeah,
okay?
and the walls were solid bricks, so you couldn't see
You
anyone
couldn't
else,
see,
even
you
in your
couldn't hear
exercise
anybody
area.
else or nothing. The door would shut, and you would just be there alone. Okay.
Well, wasn't it designed for record collection?
It certainly was.
Yes, because it felt that, or they felt that it was built like based on the Quaker tradition, so they felt that if you would repent and your sins and be rehabilitated and everything, you would come out of there and just be a better
Be a
person.
good guy.
Yeah, but it made a lot of people just go mad. And actually, the Jenny Wade's father was there, and he just went nuts.
Yeah, that's when he lost it.
And it was the cells were very, there wasn't much in the cells.
They were
Maybe
small,
just a bed,
they were plain.
a place to go to the bathroom, that was it.
Wasn't it designed by Franklin?
Yes, it was. With the exception of Al Capone's cell. His cell was decked out, man. It had carpets, it had lamps, it had all kinds of stuff. He was treated like a celebrity in there.
Yeah, and he was allowed to make any phone calls he wanted to anyone, any time of the day or night. It was crazy.
Yeah. So the theory of him just going crazy because he's alone and all that stuff, and this stuff happening,
kind of doesn't
I don't
wash.
see that lending towards Al Capone because, like I said, he was treated like a celebrity in there, and for him to have these
apparitions
visits by a ghost, quite interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and what
Sorry,
I find
interrupt
that's okay. What I find interesting is, again, it wasn't necessarily something that could be attributed just to the location, Eastern State Penitentiary, because when Al Capone left Eastern State, when he got out, he ends up going back to Chicago, and he takes up residence at the Lexington Hotel. And this is where he has a large number of visits from this same ghost, this Jimmy. And he claimed it was definitely Jimmy Clark. And he just kept on begging him always to leave him in peace. And his men would tend to be outside, making sure nobody was, going to get in and kill Al Capone. They would hear him begging for him to be left alone. They'd rush in. They broke down the door several times. They went in there, and the only person in there was Al Capone. And he said, nope, Clark's ghost was here. It was Clark. It was him. He went so far that he even hired a psychic named Alice Britt and had this psychic do a seance to try to get rid of Jimmy Clark. He was adamant that it was James Clark from the St. Valentine's Massacre.
Interesting.
After the seance, his partner, who was one of his valets, saw this ghost too in Al Capone's apartment.
So somebody else also saw the ghost too.
In addition to Al Capone, saw this same ghost.
Well, we say ghost, it's an apparition.
Right. He was going into the apartment. He saw a tall man standing near the window. He demanded to know who this was in Al Capone's apartment. And as soon as he asked for that identity, he slipped behind the drapes and disappeared. He had all Al Capone's men that were in the area come in. They searched this place, and the only people in there were them and Al Capone. And Al Capone was adamant that figure was definitely Jimmy Clark. So one of the St. Valentine's Day massacre murder victims, Jimmy Clark, haunted Al Capone the rest of his life. So does that mean it was Al Capone who did?
Well, at least Jimmy thinks so.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so lots and lots of paranormal things that kind of go hand in hand right with that Valentine's Day massacre.
Interesting.
Yes.
Quite interesting.
And I love that it ties all of these things together. I mean, you've got the hauntings of Al Capone at Eastern State, at the Lexington Hotel, in his apartment. You've got the bricks and all their story. Everywhere that the bricks went, there seemed to have been something. I don't know. And of course, the land and you know, all the Tommy gun
Talk
sounds.
to Mike here a second. I got to read this message.
Oh, you got a message. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like a book.
Oh, a book message. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on this? Have you ever been a big guy into the mob stuff? Do you know much about this story?
Well, I don't know a ton about. I just always thought that was an interesting time in history, especially being that not far from here is where they shot down Pretty Boy Floyd, and he still haunts the area where he was shot down. So, you can't from this area.
So it kind of lends hand there that there's when all these mobsters were getting shot down, they would come back to their haunt locations.
Yes. And business, we like to call it being whacked.
Being whacked. Okay.
So one thing that I was just checking on here with our tech support and stuff. Guess what components make up bricks? What elements are in bricks?
Lime.
Clay and shale.
Okay. I was gonna say clay,
And
but I
shale's
didn't
one
know
of the
about shale.
elements. And I know there's clay in Pennsylvania too, but it's one of the elements that's believed to house energy.
Interesting.
See that?
So that's why those bricks are
This
holding all
explains
that.
the brick.
Right.
Well, it's silicon, which is the same, and isn't that a composition of quartz?
It's a glass material. Yes.
So I don't know. That's intelligent.
Yes,
What
it
did he
sounded
say?
quite intelligent, Mike.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
All right, let me see if we got any questions.
I'm interested in seeing if the museum has had any reports of any paranormal activity since they
I
got
am
the
too.
bricks. Because wasn't there a police museum that we went to either on our honeymoon or on our second jaunt of our honeymoon when we went back 4 years later
That was in Florida.
in Florida? Wasn't there some paranormal activity associated with some of the items in there?
Yes. Yes, there was. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, East Liverpool, down there, they still have a death mask of Pretty Boy Floyd. So there's a lot of activity down that neck of the woods.
All right.
Okay, so I think we only have the one question.
I think it was 2 by the same person, I think.
Okay, if you have questions, now's the time to ask them because we're getting ready to wrap up the show. I'll give you a couple minutes just to ask your questions in the chat room. I have the chat room up. Please ask them. And I'm going to tell you what we got going on next, and then we'll go to these questions. I know we had one. But that kind of wraps up our Valentine's show. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
Well, there's always the you always hear the tale about the people that move into a house, a single man or a single woman move into a house, and they kind of like fall in love with the spirit that's in the house. It's like, don't buy it a ring. It's not real.
Well, that is that's interesting because I'm the one who usually says it isn't real, but maybe you mean the love isn't real.
The love is real.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I thought I was turning you into the skeptic there for a second, Mike.
I'm always skeptical.
So we got 2 questions.
2 questions by the same person, I believe.
What do you got? No, 2 separate people.
Oh, who is this one?
This one's Andy. This one's. Okay, Mike, you ready? We got 2 questions.
Yes.
All right, so here's the first question, and this is from Andy. Okay? It says,
is it possible to become for one of the entities to become so fascinated with a living person that it cuts them off from the rest of the world?
Absolutely. People, that's one of the dangers, you know, that's like we covered in our last show about dabbling in paranormal. People get so addicted to EVPs and communicating spirits that, you know, it can become an obsession with you. You're so interested in communicating that you just close yourself off.
okay. So this next question I think we'll give to Mary Ann because it's kind of scientific-y.
Oh, thanks.
This relates to the sleep paralysis and everything that you were talking about, and my condition where I wake up and I have to have like 4 pounds of Reese cups before I can get moving. My heart started and pot of coffee and all that stuff like that. But can that also relate to? I think you already talked about walking in your sleep, but could this relate to talking in your sleep as well?
I would have to say yes, because if you're talking, you're acting out your dream. You're communicating with individuals in your dream. You're actually acting it out, and it's just verbally coming out. So your lips aren't paralyzed and your vocal cords. So I would say yes, that they're connected.
Okay. All right, so we had 2 questions, one from Andy and one from Casey. We're going to draw for the Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour t-shirt.
All right.
Here we go.
Here we are, and the winner is... Ooh, I just ripped it. The winner is... Casey!
All right, Casey.
See it or not. There it is. There it is. Can't get the angle right.
Yeah.
It's all so bright.
Okay, here's what you need to do. You need to send an email to info@darkshadowghosttours.com. Give us your shirt size and your address, and we'll get that t-shirt out to you as soon as we possibly can.
All right.
All right, so you're the winner of our t-shirt. All right, so what we got going on next, folks? Here's what we got. Next weekend, you could join Mary Ann and myself on an episode of Beyond the Edge Radio. I don't know what the topic is that night, but we did a Hot and Spotlight. You could join us. And I don't know if we're going to talk about that or something else.
I don't know. I'm kind of excited about it.
In 2 weeks, we have scheduled the next Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour. However, our team has a paranormal investigation scheduled.
Does that mean no Dark Shadow Ghost Tours After Tour?
Well, we don't know. If we get cell signal where we're at, we might broadcast live.
Live?
Yeah,
From
we'll take
Gill.
our stuff. We're
Live
going to the
from
Gill
Gill
House. I've heard reports from certain people that our cell phone won't work there, but we'll give it a shot. Okay? If not, we'll do an after tour about what we found there.
And we've had that happen before. We tried
Yes,
that at the
Fairport
lighthouse.
Harbor
It didn't
Lighthouse.
quite work, but
Yeah.
it worked pretty well at Stagecoach and a couple other places. So
Yeah. On March 19th, we have our first murder mystery dinner of the year. It is the Irish Wake of Paddy O'Malley.
it is.
Tickets are on sale now. You can get them through our Facebook page, web page, anywhere.
Come interact with us.
You come interact and
It is an interactive dinner theater.
we've done this before. So what was that, Mike?
I said
It is.
We're gonna have a fun night. It's at St. Luke's in Boardman. The menu is online. It's unbelievable what you get for the ticket price. And you could go home with a 32-inch TV too.
Yes.
So
yes.
take a look at that. And watch our social media sites here within the next couple of weeks, because we're gonna have a contest coming out
Contest.
where you could win a pair of tickets to that show. Ooh.
I like contests.
Yeah.
Especially if we win. Oh wait, we
We
can't,
can't win. We're going to be
We're
there
in it.
anyways. Yeah.
Darn.
All right, so that ends this edition of Dark Shadow Ghost Tours.
After tour.
2015.
Try again. There we go. We'll
Thanks
see you
for-
next time, guys.
thanks for
Thanks for tuning
watching.
in.